And we are mighty proud of your recovery, Charles, and you worked hard for it. God bless you. Terry Armour, and then Don Turner. Terry Armour.
I'm Terry Armour.
Okay.
I'd just like to know that, so that I'm against the consolidation.
That was in record time. Don Turner.
Well, I'll just take his time then.
Then Al Hovey-King next.
My name's Don Turner. I live at 360 Legends Drive here in Fayetteville. This thing is being sold as a choice between keeping the fire department here and raising taxes, or giving it to the county and not raising taxes. But I'm a CPA with a background in accounting and finance of governments, and I've looked at the CAFR for you and for the county, and those numbers just don't add up. You cannot... The county says they're going to absorb $300,000 in losses not being made up by taxes, and they're going to build a new fire station, and they're going to fund that station, all without cutting services. That just can't happen. You know, we've heard a lot of fuzzy math from politicians in recent years, and with all due respect to the people in the county that came up with this proposal, I don't care how you spin it or whatever you want to call it. 1 + 1 always equals 2. And this proposal just doesn't add up. If the county is going to take this over, they're going to have to raise taxes to keep the same level of service that we have now. It's going to have to happen. I had a fire at my house 2 years ago. And our wonderful fire department responded very quickly, and when they got there, the fire was just breaking through into the attic. If they had been 5 minutes later in responding, we probably would have lost our whole house. But because they responded the way they did, it was not that bad a fire. If the county takes this over, I just don't believe that they can keep the same level of service we have now with the city fire department. The numbers just don't support them doing that. And I just want to respectfully request that you please vote no on this proposal to consolidate the fire department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Al Hovey-King. I've been a City of Fayetteville resident for well over 30 years. And I will preface my comments with the fact that you people need to listen to the citizens. You need to vote no on this consolidation. You know, we're talking about dollars and cents. And yeah, you say you're going to roll back the millage. I don't believe that. You know, once government has your money, they don't like to give it back. And with all due respect to you gentlemen, I don't believe you. I really, really don't. We went through a consolidation study in the mid-90s, I believe it was, Alan, wasn't it? And there was a little bit of financial benefit to the city at that time. But you know what? The citizens didn't want to lose their fire department. So we sucked it up and we went on, and we have one of the best fire departments in this United States of America. It takes a special person to be a firefighter. It takes a special person to be in public safety. Your public safety budget is $6 million approximately. Approximately 1/3 of that is the fire services budget. So if you're really concerned, maybe you ought to consolidate with the sheriff's department It makes no sense. Most of your operational funding for public safety, and public safety is about 2/3 of the city budget, which is where it should be, 2/3 to 70%. Your sales tax revenues are going to go up. We have been going down since the Great Recession. Your property tax digest will go up with this annexation that you gentlemen approved recently. Your property tax revenues will go up.
We certainly hope so.
Would you doubt it?
Oh, no. Well, we do look for it to go up, sure.
So, you aren't going to have a financial shortfall. You are going to be able to fund the Fayetteville Fire Department. The other thing that I would like to bring to your attention again is level of service. It's been said here before, the city of Fayetteville staffs their engines with 4 people. Sometimes there's only 3, but generally there's 4 on an engine. That doesn't happen in the county. That does not happen in the county. And I don't want to lose the effectiveness. I'm going to take that gentleman's time since he deferred. I don't want to lose the efficiency and the effectiveness of the Fayetteville Fire Department because they are not staffed adequately. You're going to save $200 and some thousand a year. How many lives is that worth? How many lives is that worth? Mr. Williams won't say why he supports it. Most of the residents in the subdivision that he lives in are against consolidation, and yet he was the prime proponent over in Fairburn. So I would ask that all of you vote no on consolidation, because I've not heard a reason from any one of you gentlemen that is able to support a reason for consolidation. Thank you very much.
John Mumford. And then Robert Lester next.
I would ask the audience to hold your applause for anything I might say. You're probably not going to agree with it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I'm like Plutarski in Animal House. When I'm on a roll, let it go. I came here with an open mind, and just to let you know, I'm not speaking for anybody but myself. I live at 260 Miracle Lane here in Fayetteville with my wife, my lovely daughter, and my wonderful son. I came here with an open mind tonight. Maybe there is a good reason for these 2 fire departments to be combined. After seeing all the presentations, listening to all the facts, and hearing some emotion, which is natural, I haven't been convinced. I haven't been convinced. I'm fortunate because every once in a while I get an opportunity to see these guys actually work. They work well together. It's like someone else here said earlier, someone's much smarter than I. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. I believe, Mr. Morton said earlier, if we have to refrain from consolidation and we build the Pinewood Station, we staff it, it's going to cost the $200,000 home $48 a year. That's $4 a month on my taxes. $4. You can't get a big meal at McDonald's for that. Why are we even here over $4? I also pay 0.43 mils on my county taxes to have county EMS services. The arrangement works pretty great. What concerns me isn't just where we are now. It's where we're going in the future. If we have a millage rate of 0.4 mils, do we even get to be a city anymore? What's next? Is our fire department going to be on the chopping block? Water, police. I mean,
Some other department.
it's a major concern. I moved to Fayetteville to be a city resident, to pay for city services and county services in some respects. But you gentlemen were elected by me and by other people to represent the city and not just the county. $4 a month, guys? Hey, I got news for you. Let's double it. Let's give the chief, the police chief, a few more cops on the patrol too. I think that would be fantastic as well. And I apologize if I've sounded very disrespectful, but after hearing all this stuff tonight, I feel very strongly in where I am. Thank you for listening.
And next is Harlan Shirley, is it? Shirley? Harlan, somebody. Shirley, I think. Okay.
Yeah. Robert Lester. I live in the old house at the roundabout on Grady and Beauregard. Like Alan, I would be concerned if a fire started in my house because it would go up very quickly. The only thing I haven't heard from any elected official is that we've got to pass it to know what's in it. It kind of smells like that to me. Why are other Atlanta area cities clawing back their fire departments? Why is Peachtree City not willing to consolidate into the county? Seems kind of strange that we're the only ones that have this figured out. And if, consolidating with the county saves money, why don't we consolidate with the state? How about the federal government in Washington? That would be wonderful. We could save a ton of money and just abdicate all responsibility for anything. And while we're at it, if we don't want to go that route, why don't we consolidate the entire city of Fayetteville into the county, and you gentlemen can give up your jobs and we can save a bunch. Now, the presentations from the county and I guess from the city, although I really haven't heard the city make a presentation, it seems to be the focus is all on saving money. Well, I think there are a couple of other issues involved: control and service. If we lose control, to me, that's a pretty major concern. And given that we now are faced with district voting in the county, our vote's really being diluted, and if the county goes off the rails in how they manage the fire department, we can't vote all of the turkeys out of office. We can't only vote for one individual out of office. Doesn't seem like we're gaining much control. Maybe we're losing it. And then on service, the county says they're going to keep the fire station. But what happens in a few years if they decide this isn't a very efficient fire station right next door to us, and suddenly the fire station gets located a long ways away? I, for one, in an old house that could go up like kindling wood, would be very concerned if we lost having a fire station next door. Thank you, gentlemen.
And after that is Terry Chambliss. CHAMB something.
That's me that I'll give my time to the next speaker. I have my question that has been asked and answered.
I may have to take his time. My name is Harlan.
Carolyn is with you. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
My name is Harlan Shirley. I live at 155 Creekside Trail in Fayetteville. Been here 34 years. Same house, same subdivision. Have no plans of leaving. Maybe. I say maybe because, if we're not going to have proper representation by the board that we elect and put in office, then why would we want to stay in the city of Fayetteville? Why would we want to stay in the state of Georgia? I'm from Oklahoma. We have the Oklahoma Sooner football team. which I would take over most of them in the country anyway. Since we beat Alabama, I can certainly point that one out. But I'm disappointed the way that this whole thing was handled. We didn't know a thing in the world about that, and these men in blue didn't know anything about this until the Friday before the last meeting. Why? Why were you guys trying to hide this? Why were you, Mr. Mayor? You lead this tribe. It's your responsibility. Why was this not given to the city of Fayetteville residents before the Friday before the meeting we had on the 17th? Is that right? Is that when it was? I don't remember.
Right now. Mm-hmm.
There's been too much information given out. No way for it to be absorbed by the citizenry in the short time span that we were given between the last meeting and now this one. And a lot of other things have been revealed. I feel like that they have been revealed. And unfortunately, I don't have much faith in the leadership, and I'm pointing to you, Mr. Mayor, because you are the prime leader of this group. It's your responsibility to represent your citizenry, as it is with each one of these folks up here. Who do you work for? Do you not work for the citizens of Fayetteville? Did they not elect you and put you in office? Do they not have an opportunity or a right to elect you out of office?
Absolutely.
For non-representation? I talked to Mr. Stacy. Scott and I happen to go to the same church. I believe in the same God this man believes in. And I thank God that these guys were around to help him. Certainly do. But I want you, if we can't vote no, which is what I want you to vote, I want each and every one of you to vote no to this proposal. Let's not do it. But if that's not possible, vote to delay it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. The county doesn't need to consolidate this into the budget for 2014 or 15. It can be done at a later date. Let's don't railroad this thing down some slick tracks. Thank you.
I'm having trouble reading the next name. It's E.W. something G-R-Y-N. Ringing the bell. Last name Touch, T-O-U-C-H.
Thanks, Touchstone?
Yes.
Touchstone?
Yeah, seems to be, yeah.
Anybody name last name Touchstone?
T-O-U-C-H-O-T-O-N-E maybe? No? No? Okay, well, we'll skip that one then. And, let's start. Do we have overflow?
There's speakers outside, so they should be able to hear.
Anybody see any motion? Well, we'll go ahead and take the next speaker, and if they're coming, we'll take them after. Ken Buell, I think it is, B-L-U-E-L, is that right? Ken? Steele. Oh, that's Steele. You didn't cross your T.
So much to say in so little time. Just going back to what Carolyn said a little earlier, she's not sitting there anymore. Oh, here's her, over there. I know that. The history of the city and the fire department dates back to 1940. And from 1940 on into the 60s, Fayetteville and Fayette County was one of the poorest counties in the state of Georgia. But yet we were able to maintain our fire department through those down times, World War II and after. And we remained at the bottom of the totem pole because of the demise of the cotton industry and the cotton farms. For those of you that live around here your entire life, I live off of 92 North. I have a friend who used to pick cotton where my subdivision is. If you take a look at old pictures from down where the 92 is down south, you could look up here and see the water tower when they built it, because there were no trees. It was cotton. My question is, historically, if we could maintain the fire department through those troubled times, why would you consider consolidation and abandoning the fire department today? Fayetteville and Fayette County, and I haven't checked the latest statistics, but I know from memory that we are in the top 5 in the state of Georgia of the 159 counties and 511 cities. We're in the top 5 per capita and per household income. We can't afford a fire department? Explain that to me. Okay? Just briefly going through the city budget, and there's only about 2 paragraphs I really want to read that I think are germane. But this is something that you all sign your names to and represent, are aware of, I'm sure. But the first paragraph, and this is from the 2013 fiscal year. The city continues to maintain adequate fund balances consistent with our reserve fund policy. With continued monitoring of our revenues and expenditures, the city can meet goals and objectives in the public service area, police and fire protection, street and drainage improvements, and infrastructure. Why would we consider consolidation? This is your document, developed by your staff, not someone else's staff. Your staff. The City of Fayetteville has processes that look to the future for planning for services, programs, and facilities to meet the needs of the residents and businesses of the community. The 5 years they plan ahead, with actually visioning out towards 10 and 20 years, but actual documents supporting their 5-year vision. For the long-term needs of the city, which include personnel, operations, and maintenance. We talk about how great the fire and police departments are, and we've alluded to how great our financial people are. Awards won last year. They were awarded Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting to the City of Fayetteville for its comprehensive annual financial report. This was the 17th year in a row. This report must satisfy both generally accepted accounting principles and applicable legal requirements. In addition, the city also received an award for distinguished budget presentation. Again, not something that is handed out piecemeal or willy-nilly. When you have a highly decorated, award-winning financial department, why are all the facts and figures coming from the county? Why have you not drawn upon the expertise of your own staff? And just an aside, governmental fund balances are up over 10% from 2012 to 2013. Without delving into the nitty-gritty of the numbers, governmental fund balances up over 10%. We can't afford a fire department?
You're at 5 minutes, Ken.
I know, but I'm going to take more. Nothing has been mentioned. We talk about, you made a statement, and I won't attribute it to you because it's been picked up and maybe it was misquoted and everything else. But just like Mr. Brown's statement about we need to man up and get a fire department was taken out of context. That's the impression I got. But you said that in 5 years, we're basically going to be our fund balance zero. True statement?
I said based on the projections.
Projection.
In
Conservative
the 5-year
projection.
plan
I'll look
and
out
those
here at the
assumptions.
audience, and I'll bet you 99% of you, your fund balance is going to be zero a lot quicker than that. Unless you have income to put back into the checking account and the savings account. The city has income. So when you say projections, the city has property tax, which you're proposing to give away. It has sales tax, has franchise fees, has insurance premium tax, it has impact fees. All that growth is going to be coming forward out with the annexed area. How much money comes to the city for every building permit drawn for a house? Anybody know? Something like $1,625. In the year 2012, 12 building permits were pulled. In the year 2014, 139 building permits. Multiply that by $1,623 and some odd cents. You build a fast food restaurant. It's something like $9.18 per square foot. A hotel. Every building permit that's drawn in Fayetteville pays impact fees. That is revenue. Why do we have impact fees? It's to help pay for the infrastructure that is going to be required for future growth, i.e., perhaps a firehouse on the west side of town. And nobody pays cash for capital improvements. You bond it out. How much money do we owe on the police station? Anybody know?
I don't remember the number exactly, but I know we did refinance it and save a substantial amount of money.
That's right. Because of the financial expertise of city staff and them being aware of how to run a city. And if the interest rates go lower, they'll refinance again if it makes economic sense. My point being is, I think it's about $3.25 million that we owe on that bond still. Going to be paid off 2020, 2022, somewhere down the road. But that station is a capital improvement that was built for the future and will handle a police department at build out of the city. You didn't pay cash for it. Without getting too carried away, it's getting warm in here. Departmental comparison. The county would have us believe that the increase in service level to the city through consolidation. The numbers are shockingly different. The county says they come into the city a great deal more than the city goes out into the county. But they really don't. I bet you got a report last month saying the city went out into the county more than the county came into the city. Who do you believe? It's apples and oranges. The vast majority of emergency services are EMS.
The majority of emergency services are EMS, medical emergencies. And to answer that gentleman back there that was concerned to have EMS come to his house, to the hospital, guess what? You paid for it. City taxpayers pay 0.45 or something mils for EMS. It is a joint service. The county does not provide us any EMS service. And we have it all.
Ken, can you bring it in for a landing? You're over 10 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I'll be finished soon.
I'm cutting you off for 11 minutes, okay? I think that's plenty generous.
Okay, going back to other departmental comparisons. And again, I would emphasize, just like the chief did, Fayette County Fire Department is excellent. This has nothing to do with the personnel. Fayette County's coverage area, 172 miles. Fayetteville, the information they put out on my sheet says 10 square miles. We're going to get better coverage if we consolidate. Well, the county has, on this sheet that I have, 129 fire personnel to cover 172 square miles. That means they have 0.71 firemen per square mile. City of Fayetteville has 24 people for 10 square miles. That means they have 2.4 firemen per square mile. Fayetteville has 4 pieces of equipment that I see on the sheet. That's 1 piece for every 2.5 square miles. The county has, they claim 20, but they really only have 15 because the 5 medic units are medic units. I think that's for EMS. They're not firefighters. We got to consider firefighters to firefighters.
Up here speaking, and I'm not going to say anything about fire because they know a lot more than me, and I believe they have shown that there's really no reason to be considering consolidation. We have sufficient coverage, proven effective coverage here in the city. And no one has articulated, the money goes away. Nobody has articulated a good reason why. And I have to laugh with Councilman Williams. As it was brought up earlier, as a city manager of Fairburn, you saw fit to develop a independent fire department in the city of Fairburn. In the last meeting, you said, well, that's because Fayette County is no Fulton County. And that's true, but you saw fit that you needed your own fire department over there. Yet, having been on council for 2 months in February, evidently, is when some people started discussing consolidation. I don't know if the rest of the council know it. But with 2 months on the job, now you're considering consolidating our fire department. And I will say this, I don't think you folks have the legal right to vote on this tonight. It's in violation of the city charter. You don't have the right to vote on it. This has not gone through the proper procedures. If I want to put a utility building on my property, I've got to go through P&Z, 2 meetings, public advertisement in the organ of the county. I have to go through mayor and council, 2 meetings. At a minimum, it's going to take 2 months. Yet you've just introduced this, 1 public meeting, and you want to vote on giving away our fire department? There's a disconnect. So I think you're failing to do your fiduciary responsibility to the citizens and taxpayers of Fayetteville. And to vote the only way you can vote tonight is to vote no and kill this issue forever. Otherwise, ignoring, I hope I haven't lost your attention, Mayor, ignoring and taking a vote on this, I believe elevates it to the level of malfeasance of office. With that, I'll leave you.
Harry Helson.
I'm surrounded by 8 police back here, but my question has been answered, so I'm happy.
Okay.
And I didn't get my time to see
Okay. You didn't check off pro or con. Would you like for me to mark you down one way or the other? Dr. Roberta Parker. And then we got Benito Wallace.
I would like to address the mayor and city council and thank them respectfully for this opportunity to speak. Unfortunately, I wasn't given the opportunity to vote, and I do agree with everyone in this room. This is a circumstance that deserves a vote from the citizens, not an opinion. But you will hear my opinion, and I will try to keep the emotion at bay, but I do not mind showing emotion, and it will come out. I was very disappointed to see that this is being handled like an emergency. My name is Dr. Roberta Parker. I live in the city limits. I have practiced in the city limits for June will be 26 years. I serve the public every day in both calm situations and emergencies. I can tell the difference. Consolidating a fire department is not an emergency. An emergency vote is uncalled for tonight. We have 1 kidney and 10 recipients. That's an emergency vote. This kidney's got so many hours, it's going in a human being. Why this is being handled as an emergency is beside me. And I don't believe that we should be voting on a situation that deserves input from the community. I'm very disappointed to hear that my prestigious captain found out 24 hours before his men could have been affected by a decision he was not made privy to. That's very disappointing. You disrespected him and his men. 24 hours he had to contact every one of them and tell them the impact of this decision you had come up with. It's not an emergency. That being said, I did drive to the fire department and ask how the impact would affect his men. And he will tell you that I sat down and even missed some patients and moved patients so that I can inform myself, because that's what I do as a doctor. I inform myself before I make decisions. There's way more impacts on us than you're putting out here. There has already been impacts on us that has been hidden from the community, and I'm about to list some of those things that I was told that are very disappointing to me that I found out. There's a lot of fudging of numbers going on, obviously coming from the county. And one of them keeps being brought up today. It has been automatic aid for 15 years. I don't remember voting on changing automatic aid. So when did this change occur? Who changed it and who had the right to change it? Automatic aid says every land lot in the county is told where the closest fire department is, and that automatic aid calls the closest fire department, whether it's in the city of Fayetteville or the county. That has happened for 15 years. Lives have been saved. Your ISO rating is because of automatic aid, because we've cut our response time down to 3 or 4 minutes. Let's talk about some numbers that were put in the news to support this, which seems like something's been going on behind people's backs. And I'm not accusing anyone, but I have questions as to why these numbers have affected me as a citizen of the city of Fayetteville, both as a business owner and as a resident. In 2011, over 800 times the city of Fayetteville responded to automatic aid in the county to help because they were the closest. In 2012, over 800 times. Explain to me why only about 400 calls came in 2013. Did we have less calls? No. Somebody has been strategically trying to manipulate the numbers to make it look like we have this little 10-mile area that we secure and we're useless and we're a burden on the community, and we only go out of our compound a few times and they come into our compound so many more times than we do. Well, let's talk about some of the numbers. We have 24 firemen that took out 27 building fires. 129 firemen put out 32 building fires in the county. Well, there's some numbers for you. If you ask Captain Jones, of the 427 times he was called to respond in automatic aid, a large percentage of them, close to 50%, were called off. Who called off the call? Can I give you some examples? Very disappointing to hear this. February 10th, 2014. Does anybody remember hearing about a pedestrian struck on Banks and Ellis Road? The individual died. This fire department was called. They were on their truck. They were driving. They were the closest firehouse. They were called off. It's county property. We don't need you. The individual died. Another incident, July 19th, 2013 at 8:55 a.m. A school at a church had a fire alarm. This was the fire department that's closest. Automatic aid, they were called. They were en route. They were called off. There are children at that school. They called a firehouse in North Fayette County to go down to South Fayette County to put the fire out. Some numbers need to come out. An investigation as to what's going on to support this needs to be found out. This is something shady going on. I had to go back to work, otherwise I would have written more examples down. So you go ahead and ask Captain Jones here how many calls his men were on the trucks. I'm shaking because that woman died that was struck. Would she have died if they got there on their truck that was closest? I don't know. God knows, right? Our gentleman knows. God knows. Was it her time? Well, damn it, time was on her side because they were the closest. You called them off while they were driving to the fire. Who called them off? I want to know who had the authority to call them off. Okay.
Okay, I need to make a correction there. We discussed a particular call. We were not dispatched to the call on Banks Road. We weren't dispatched. 2 other county units were dispatched. We were closer to that call than the 2 county units that were dispatched, but we did not get dispatched. We did respond. We didn't go en route on the radio. We had a unit out that was closer. They went en route, they responded, and they arrived first on the scene. But they were not called off on that call. I just wanted to correct that.
But there were
Thank you, Adam.
The call on McDonough Road, that did happen, where we were en route, we were in the station, we were canceled in a unit that was further away, and this goes back to the automatic aid that we discussed that has been adjusted, and these 2 particular calls have been, this is not the first time these calls have been brought up.
Thank you for that clarification, Alan.
Okay. Lots of other numbers. Anybody that read the newspaper yesterday knows that Pinewood, everybody's excited, Hollywood's coming to town. The next 20 years, they're going to get $144 million tax breaks. I've had a business here 26 years. Nobody gave me a tax break, and right? But I go to work and I serve the public and I offer the same quality of care. Anybody know what the word sequestration means? If you look it up, you'll see that President Obama on April Fool's Day last year implemented sequestration. 2% of my money, all of the hospital's money, any medical bills sent to Medicare, 2% is kept. As we would have given you $100, but we're taking 98, 2% goes back to the government to get out of a mess. What's wrong with sequestration? I think that if the president can do it, maybe the mayor should be able to sequester my money too. And that's kind of what happens. But I still go to work every day and I still do the same job and I still offer the same quality of care. Okay, April Fool's Day this year, he wanted to cut my income 24%. It was frozen for 14 days before Congress convinced the president not to cut medical spending to doctors 24%. We're talking about $40 of taxes. $48, and somebody figured out how many cents a day for automatic aid. And if you look at the map that is depicting where the city of Fayetteville is, and anybody knows that if you have a clock, the center of the clock to get to any of a perimeter is the quickest way to get to the perimeter. That's why automatic aid has asked for Captain Jones so many times. He is often on the verge of the county, the quickest location to get to any hour on that clock. We have been strategically placed to our assisted living, our hospital, the largest subdivisions, our schools, and somehow we have not been reported for failure to respond to the emergency needs of all of those individuals. But yet the county feels like they can do a better job and save money doing it. And I don't believe that's true. And then, if you take humbleness into consideration, I've never met a more humble man in my life. We had never met before. I sat down with him and spoke to hear, like I said, the impact. He is going from a 15-year veteran captain to, his new term is going to be Technical Services Division Chief. I think they educate you on fire hazards and things like that. Did you know that was what his new title was going to be? What are you talking about? You're protecting these men's rights. What are you talking about? You're in my best interest and my family's. Here's where I get emotional. Okay? I told you I have a medical practice. It's on Highway 54, right in downtown Fayetteville. Do you know who goes by my building first every day? The Fayetteville City Fire Department. When there's a 911 call, they go by first. I'll tell the patient, I say, watch for the fire truck to go by, the EMS truck. Every single time they're the first responder. Every time. You name one call where they were late or delayed, where it could have affected your ISO rating or someone's life. There's no incidents. There's no complaints. There's no delinquency. Not one. I see them every day go by. Okay? I was hit in front of Azalea Estates. My SUV rolled over. My children were in the vehicle. Who responded to me and my children? The Fayetteville Fire Department was there first. I didn't even know where my car was or what side it was on. It was laying on my side, crushed my wrist. I still can practice to this day because the emergency care issued to me and my children came from the City of Fayetteville Fire Department. My neighbor's house caught on fire. I live in a cluster subdivision. We should have all burned down. It was a hot, windy day. His fire was roaring. Who was the first to respond to the fire at his house and sequester it to where it didn't even need 15 men? Yeah, 2 men in, 2 men out. I know the rules. 2 men in, 2 men out. 2 men went in, checked for the owner of the house. 2 men stayed out. The fire was sequestered before it caught any of our neighbors, and the exterior of the building even was structurally sound because they were first responders, because they were the closest, because they are trained to handle these crises. I implore you, there is only one way that this evening should end. This should never come up again. Somebody tried this little trick 2 years ago, and obviously you can't even remember, out of respect, Mr. Mayor, but you can't even remember how it ended. You just know it didn't end in favor of what someone wanted. So here it is again as an emergency vote. We have an emergency situation. And as a doctor, I do not see any emergencies about to happen if we don't vote on this tonight or we don't vote in favor of what you fellas want. And I don't see any emergencies other than the fact that this man has humbled himself to where he is willing to take a demotion, but he is not willing to take the loss of his men's service and all that they have worked for. That his humbleness should be reflected back onto your own opinion as to the right way to handle this situation. And the citizens of Fayetteville city limits and the county and the ISO rating that we have in the county are because of the prestigious, honorable service these men have offered and continue to offer. Then I have to bring up this money all of a sudden that surfaced. That Fayette County is talking about financial issues yet. $40,000 is coming somewhere because we all need our firemen to be ACLS certified. Fine. Go ahead and donate $40,000 to the city of Fayetteville. I know at the hospital situation when they have an LPN and she wants to go to an RN, or she's an RN and she wants to go to a BS, the hospital will fund that extra education to increase the rating even more, to increase the level of health and welfare and services that can be offered to the community. And they just say if you leave within 2 years of service to your current captains, I don't know terms, your station, if you leave your house, what are the terms for your If you leave your firehouse before the 2 years are up, then there's a contract, you owe that money back because you didn't serve for at least the 2 years that we funded for you to be ACLS certified. Sure, if they think that there's a deficit and we would be a stronger team, ACLS certifying these guys, go ahead and fund it. But if you don't, guess what? I'll start a organization right now. We'll collect funds and maybe the community will pay to ACLS certify our well-trained, totally qualified firemen if you feel like it would enhance their ability to serve us. I'll help start that fund. But leave them where they are. They're doing their job. And they're doing it darn good, aren't they?
All right, you're over 12 minutes, ma'am. Are you about done? You're over 12 minutes.
I feel like we need to get to the bottom of some questions that weren't answered, and it was already posed by our captain. Chief, who had the right to intercept automatic aid? It's been working for 15 years. What's going on with automatic aid that we're no longer calling the closest station? I want someone to investigate what's going on with that we are not abiding by that means to protect our citizens that has worked all these years, saved us from catastrophes, and somebody is manipulating the system without the citizens or the fire department knowing what's going on or why it's happening. There have been no change in rules that I know of, but somebody's changed the rules. And we need to know who and why and who gave them authority to make that decision, because I don't remember anyone in any position having that authority.
Mr. Mayor?
That was a question.
I don't know either. That's handled through 911
Then it needs to be
service, handled
investigated.
through the county.
It needs to be investigated.
You know.
I implore you to investigate this situation. That's our emergency. Our emergency is figuring out why the citizens are not in their best interest to be responded to by the closest firehouse anymore. Somebody's drawn a magic marker around boundaries and said, don't call that little boundary. It's closest, but it's not ours.
Mr. Mayor, did you just say the county?
No, he says he doesn't.
911 service is handled by the county. So aren't they the ones that do the dispatch? Am I wrong on that?
I do believe that they need to represent what's going on with this change, that the citizens and
I don't know if we can get an answer to that tonight, but it certainly bears looking into, yes.
Twice.
yeah, more than twice today it's been brought up.
Well, it's been asked in the 2 previous meetings.
Yeah. Who had the authority to change this? Who's changing the rules? And what new rules are they following that we don't even know about? Because we have determined in the last 15 years that our citizens were safest. Now, let's talk about automatic aid. If I'm at the very top of the Fayette County border and something happens in Clayton County, guess what? Automatic aid allows Fayette County fire departments to go right across because they're the closest to. We have a friendly relationship with Fayette County. We have a friendly relationship with Clayton County. We have a friendly relationship with every county that adjusts us. We abide by automatic aid to our adjacent counties, not just in the county. Who's messing with the system? Who had the right to do that? And tomorrow it better be put back where it belongs, because you may have already caused jeopardy to some individuals that could have been responded to by some manipulation of a system that has been proven to be effective and safe for the citizens. This is not a forum for an emergency vote for a consolidation. I'm part of the Piedmont Medical System, and I worked for 25 years for Henry Medical Center. It took 3 years for us to consolidate and become Piedmont Henry. It didn't happen in 24 hours. And I would love to know what's happening on July 1st. What kind of an emergency has to occur by July 1st that this is some emergency vote we got to have tonight? And tomorrow, the county's voting on it. This is totally more serious than organ donations. What is going on with this? Why is this an emergency? Why are you voting tonight? What's happening on July 1st that you're not telling us about, that you got to squeeze this in tonight? And tomorrow too, bada bada bing.
Just for the sake of clarification, this is not an emergency meeting, this is a call
Sounds
meeting.
like one. You're voting.
As a doctor, you should
it's
know.
not just
You
they
should
inform the
know
public.
an emergency meeting.
You're voting tonight on a
Emergency
decision
meeting
that affects me and every person in this room and the people that couldn't come tonight. Thank you. Did anyone not hear him say this is not an emergency?
I said this is
Then
not...
why are we voting tonight?
Ma'am, will you let me speak?
Why are we voting tonight?
You obviously don't want to. Okay, ma'am, your time is up. Next up is
No, I'm
Benita
listening.
Wallace.
Go ahead. The people want an
Benita
answer.
Wallace.
The people want an
I
answer.
was trying to
don't they?
answer, and you kept interrupting me.
What's your answer? Why are we voting? Why is this an emergency vote tonight?
It is not an emergency. It's a called meeting. An emergency meeting is something that you do on 24-hour notice because you do have...
Like you did to my captain?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Like that?
No.
That was an emergency.
That was not an emergency. He was presented the information, but no vote was taken on that. It's been several weeks since that time.
Several.
So get your terminology correct. You are a doctor.
How many weeks are in several weeks? I think it's been 4. Several weeks.
Well, that would be several, wouldn't it? Several is 3 or more, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
Well, and we have a difference of opinion. Please take your seat. Benita Wallace up next, please. And just for the record, that was about 18 plus minutes.
They don't care. Just for the record,
Benita.
several things asked you, you did not answer them yet.
People's lives are at stake. That is very cold and callous. As my mayor, I'm insulted by that comment. I serve this public as a physician. I'm on call for the emergency room 7 days in a row, 24 hours. Even if I don't sleep, I serve this public. You are
Thank you.
That was uncalled for.
Benita Wallace? Okay, Benita's not here. Tom Morris? Tom Morris? Okay. And Darrell Anderson after that? And do we have any more sign-up sheets?
Is there more outside?
There's more outside.
Okay, I'm going to be very brief. I gave part of my time to Dr. Roberta.
And she used it well.
I own a house on Forest Avenue, and if my Motrin works tomorrow, I promise Mr. Mayor I'll cut my front yard and blow off the sidewalk. Okay, I want to register my opposition to the consolidation. Tell you a quick story. Take about 45 seconds. I was living in what's now known as Hamilton Square, and the house next to me caught fire. The City of Fayetteville Fire Department got there within minutes of the initial call. They put the fire out. They ended up saving about 3/4 of that house so that it could have been repaired and rebuilt. Unfortunately, the owner and the insurance company got in a nasty negotiation, and a bunch of neighbors decided they wanted something done, so the Planning Commission made them tear the house down. But Fayetteville City Fire Department is good. And there's an old adage among politicians that voters have a short memory. I look around and I see the descendants of those that signed the Declaration of Independence. I see passionate people. Passionate voters have a long memory, sir. And I hope you all do well. Thank you and good night.
That's the last one out there.
Darrell? And then Wayne Knight.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilman and my other leaders here. I'm Darrell Anderson. I was born and raised here, so this is my town, my hometown. I'm here more to praise the fire department. A few years ago, we had a fire in our house. The lightning struck our home. I saw the smoke coming up from the basement. So I called 911. And by the time I had put on my clothes, got in my bag, cell phone, they were outside knocking on the door. They saved our home so that we had minimal reconstruction for us to move back into our home. So I wanted to praise them for their continued support, their response time. They're good people. Each time we've had to call them for emergencies, anything, they've been there for us. And I want you to take that into consideration. But I'm going to end my statement by saying that in November, there's going to be major elections. There are county elections. The Fayette County Commissioners are up for re-election in November. They're up for re-election in November. Please keep that in mind, that your decision tonight, or whatever you decide, that those county commissioners may not be there in November. And please take that into consideration. Because I am politically involved, I'm on several organizations, and I listen to both sides, and I'm kind of that person that people trust. Thank God for that. So I'm hearing some things that are going on, and I have a real good feeling that some of our county commissioners may not be there in November. You take that in consideration, men. I enjoy working with you. I respect all of you, but I want you there. But I want you to make the right decision on behalf of me, my mother, my 91-year-old school mom, and the city fire department, because they've been there. They really have been really good people. All right? Just keep that in mind. County commissioners are up for re-election, and a lot of this seems to be because there's an election in November.
Wayne Knight. Amanda Jones. Ken Collins.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and everyone else. My name is Ken Collins, and I've lived in Fayetteville since about 1998. I'm also a retired paramedic firefighter with over 30 years of public safety experience. In the last 10 years, I was a chief for a small municipal department in this part of Georgia. All that said is just to let you know that I do know a little bit about what I'm speaking about this evening. One thing to start off with is to let you know that among the fire service, the Fayetteville Fire Department does have a very good reputation, and I want you to be aware of that. Also, some comments have been made this evening about one department not being able to do enough for another department or whatever. Mutual aid and automatic aid agreements are a common tool used across the country to help so that firefighters may help each other in times of need. Even the Fire Department of New York, the largest municipal fire department in the nation, has mutual aid agreements so that other fire departments come in and help them in times of need. So that's really not an issue that ought to be up for discussion, in my opinion. Secondly, a lot of cities are taking back their municipal fire departments. Some people have referenced Fulton County. As many of you know, Fulton County years ago, a lot of the cities gave their fire departments up to the county. And then they decided years later that they weren't getting the level of service that they really wanted. So that's why they turned around and reconstituted their departments. That's also been done by a number of municipalities around the country, simply because consolidation has not worked out the way they initially thought it would. Also, I want to let you know that, face it, fire departments are not a revenue stream. They're an expenditure, plain and simple. Everybody knows that they're going to cost you money one way or the other. The decision that you have to make, and I know that you're giving this honest and considerate decision, is do we want to face those expenses to maintain our own department and the level of service that we decide, that you decide based on the input from the citizens that's really wanted here. That's what you need to decide here tonight. If you decide not to keep the fire department, which I recommend that you do, keep your own municipal fire department, is there are a couple of issues you need to consider. First is the personnel. If you decide to consolidate with the fire department, the city personnel go to the county, they go at their present rank, period. No hoops, no strings, no jump, nothing else to jump through. They go over straight as they are, period. No time limit, no additional training, no schools or anything else. That's the only fair thing to do. If they want to go for promotions, they'd have to meet whatever qualifications the county requires. But to just send them over there without that stipulation is a very poor leadership and management decision, in my opinion. You're basically casting them aside. And the final issue I want to recommend is that if you decide to go with this consolidation issue, that since the fire department is supported through a fire tax, that a fire commission be created. That members are appointed from the county and the city on that commission to ensure that the city has a say in the level of fire protection that we receive. Now, that's not because the county are evil people or they're just not going to consider anything we do, but they're going to have to consider not just the city, but the entire county and the decisions they make. Therefore, they may not always give us the level of protection or fire service that we actually want here. So we need to have some voice down the road if you make that decision of how to do that, and a fire commission is the only way to ensure that that will happen. But my ultimate suggestion to you is that you don't go with this consolidation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I think that Fire Commission's a very good, solid recommendation. Chris Edens?
That was Doc. He already spoke. He's already spoken.
Okay. And I think there's one more, Josh Collins.
My name is Josh Collins. I'm currently a city firefighter. I've been here for 6 years, and really all I want to do is I want to turn around and say thank you. It's been a rough, I'm not going to lie, it's been a rough few months with this. We don't come to work for the money. We come to see these people. We roll out of that station every night, rain or shine, on holidays, with smiles on our face to protect you, to protect them. These guys, these girls, our leadership, that's why we come to work. We have some of the finest leaders in the fire service. I'm not knocking the county. I have friends over there, and I appreciate you guys. But these guys here, I know I've sweat, I've bled, I've been through heartache with these guys. We went through rough times in this city. We took a vote a few years ago, and most of us chose to take a reduction in pay to keep this city whole. We care about each other. Mr. Stanley said it best. When Mr. Stanley had his stroke, we were there. We were devastated. He was part of our family. This is our family. This is our city. We came here to be a part of this. We're asking you to keep that. We're not asking you, we're not up here every day asking you for more money. We're not asking you, we want millions of dollars. We're not asking you for that stuff. We're asking you guys to believe in us like we believe in you, like we believe in this city. We want to protect these people. We want to continue doing that. And I just, like I said, to see you guys out here and show your support, I mean, it really humbles me. I appreciate you guys, and I'm glad to have the opportunity.
Okay, you hadn't signed up, but come on. Oh, you did? Okay, well, they didn't get the sheet up here to me, but that's fine.
My name is Laura. I am a wife of one of these gentlemen you see back here on this wall. My husband, I have seen him go through being a volunteer to being a paid firefighter for this city. Pride is what you can find in every one of these guys and this woman sitting right here. It has nothing to do about money, because if it was, wow, if you guys could see the way some of us have to budget, it would make your eyeballs explode. We don't get paid the money that all these other people get paid. They do it for the love. My husband's been doing it since he was 18, 19 years old with this city. That speaks a lot. He's in his late 30s. I think that when I hear the ALS, BLS stuff, sometimes I count it as BS. And I'm going to tell you because there have been babies born out here, not in a hospital, not in a doctor's office, by some of these men in this room that have been there. They had EMTs, they weren't paramedics, but they responded. And let me tell you this, my daughter is in high school. She just got certified in CPR and what I would classify at her age basic life-saving stuff. Call 911, basically. But if she can administer CPR, or somebody can come out and use a belt, tie off an artery to try to help save somebody's life until a paramedic can get there, BLS or not, that's what I count on. I don't even live in this city, but I'm telling you right now, whatever county I go to, I want to know, I don't care what their classification is, they're more than capable of saving someone's life. They don't have to be a paramedic. Granted, whether a lot of people here, it has not been said, there are people within the city of Fayetteville that have got their paramedic. There are people that have just taken their classes and fixing to take the test. There are people in school right now. You have people that are doing what they need to do to get to that level. But I can tell you right now, if something was to happen to one of you, they would come out and give you just as much life-saving service as anyone in the county would. For me, it is my family's livelihood. You've got part-timers that will not have a job. Yes, I know there's going to be 2 positions they can apply for. But you have positions that are going away. These guys do not work part-time jobs because they just want to do it. They do it because they need the income. And some of them have done it for many years. So just please give that respect. I had a prayer that I asked many people to say today. Please, God, steady the thoughts of these hasty decisions, because there's nothing that's immediate that has to be made right now. And what has worked in this department for years, I have watched many of these guys from the time my husband came on grow. And I have watched them give their time, their personal time, vacation, sick time, to help other people in the county and the city when they were sick, when they needed money for their family. This is a good department. These men and this woman right here, they mean well for this city, and I think it's a very bad decision for you guys to make this consolidation happen.
All right, Bobby Hayden, you'd asked to be last. Bobby asked to be last, so we'll certainly let the good-looking lady go before him.
Some of you know me. I've grown up in this city. Some of you know that I was a kid here. My dad was very involved here. My name is Sarah Wheat Hartley. I'm a doctor in this town as well. I came here tonight because I felt that the issue had not been discussed and it wasn't clearly represented. I'm also married to someone who is a public service person in Fayetteville as well. This is a slippery slope you guys have entered, and my fear is that you're not taking what we have challenged you with seriously. And I know you're shaking your head, Mr. Johnson, but what I'm trying to say is I've watched a lot of people come before you guys, and I've watched them deal with issues. And they have dealt with them with transparency, and we've discussed things openly as a city. And I don't feel that has been done here. And your job is to be servicemen to these people and to these gentlemen. Police officers, firefighters, anybody who works for this city. And all I have seen is that you haven't made a case. And I came tonight to hear your case, okay? I also help run a very large business in Fayette County, maybe even soon to be Fayetteville. And I will tell you this, I haven't heard the city really make a case other than you don't want to raise taxes. okay? So we're just gonna call a spade a spade. I'm okay with you raising my taxes, and I think a lot of people are. If it's a question of taxes, let us vote. Put it to a vote to the people if you're worried about the taxes, okay? The county, they haven't made any argument to me explaining why this even makes sense if you're looking at it from a business proposition, if you want to look at it that way. And from a political standpoint, it just doesn't make sense. You have a room full of people who want to give you their information, and you've given them the opportunity, but I don't feel that leading up to this, transparency was present. And so I would love to hear y'all's comments at some point tonight as to why, and that's one thing I haven't heard. I haven't heard any comments as to why you think this is in the best interest of the city. That's what we elected you for. We elected you to make decisions for this city. And if you truly think that this should be on the table, I want to be convinced by you. And if you can't convince us, then it shouldn't be done. And it was a wrong decision to begin with. And the greatest men and the greatest leaders know when to go, this was wrong. This was a mistake, and it's a mistake for this city. And it's okay to back down. So I implore you at this point, from everything I've heard tonight, I haven't heard a single person make a decent argument as to why consolidation should happen. In fact, it's a step backwards. So I open the floor to you guys at some point this evening to make at least one comment that pulls me that direction. I'm not 100% sure why this was even discussed a second time.
If you care to stick around, we will have conversation at the council level here when public comment is finished. Is there anyone else before? Okay. You two? There's two, I think. Come on, before we let the ladies go before Bobby wraps it up.
I am a City of Fayetteville resident. My name is Amy Gable. I grew up here, and I just had a couple questions because I went to the county commissioner meeting and then I came here. And when people have asked y'all questions, no one has had anything positive as to why this is going through. So if there's no positives for the city and there's no positives for the county because both are financially in trouble, then is this not just a power thing? And if the county is going to get the fire department, who are they going to get next? Because you give them, and then who's to say that next year it's not the police department? Can you say that that's not going to happen? No, because who's to say you're going to get re-voted in if this goes through? Respect, and I understand that y'all are in a very difficult position. I totally get that. But these guys have families. They don't leave their families every third day for 24 hours, leaving kids at home and their wives at home and work 2 and 3 jobs because of the money. They do it because it's what they love. You're taking all their livelihood away. What if we came in one day and said, the county commissioners, they're going to run your board now? Because that's essentially what you're doing. I mean, is it not? Well, we're not taking your livelihood away.
It's a little different if the county commissioner was running and we weren't here, then it wouldn't be jobs, but I'll take your point.
Okay. Well, also, I was reviewing the minutes from the meetings in the past year, and I noticed that somebody brought up earlier, the whole aid thing and the call volume has dropped off. And one thing that was pretty interesting to me was that how Pinewood was annexed into the city, correct? Okay. So if Pinewood was annexed into the city, why is it that the county is doing all the fire inspections? Because that's what it says in the minutes from June of your meeting. Is that not accurate anymore?
That is still the case.
So 75% of the income
from Pinewood started in the county.
Right.
So it was already working with the county doing those inspections.
Right.
And so we continued that because they had a very short schedule to work with, and instead of retraining any of our staff to get them up to speed, and we weren't staffed as high level as a county, we made an intergovernmental agreement to continue that.
So,
and the 25% of that fee we get is more than our own fees were.
Right, but 75% goes to the county?
Yes.
But it's annexed into the city?
Correct.
And you would say that you're a pretty good planner, being that you're mayor and the council?
I wouldn't go so far as say I'm a great planner. I'm relatively new on the job, but we have excellent staff.
But in
and
June,
I rely heavily on them.
In June, when this was brought about, you could, I don't know, potentially see it being annexed into the city?
I'm not sure I'm following.
Pinewood, could you have seen it, in the near future being annexed into the city?
Well, we annexed it effective September 1st.
Right.
So obviously it was on the radar by June,
Right.
yes.
So when it was discussed about who would do the fire inspections in the minutes in June, which was prior to September, so you did have some time to plan, did you not think that maybe some of it should have went more to the city because they are qualified?
No, they had a very good working relationship on a very, very tight time schedule. It made sense to council that it was the best practice to continue with the working system they already had.
Okay, my last thing, and it's...
Not changing horses in the middle of the stream.
Okay. My last thing is just that, with the government system, when you run for mayor, when you run for council, we see signs all over the place. We hear about it in the paper. We know about it months in advance, correct? We know when you're going to vote?
I wouldn't say that very many people know months in advance. I think
we don't have a set election date?
I think for elections, yes, of course.
Because like Steve Brown, I know his term is up in December. I know that in May it's going to be, repositioned. So, things like that are planned. So my question is that it's kind of ironic that 3 weeks ago at the commissioner meeting, or several weeks or whenever it was, that they kept referencing back that this was, everyone should know, it was on the website. But you have older people that live in the city of Fayetteville, they don't necessarily have internet. And even the people that do have internet, well, the city of Fayetteville.gov and the Fayette County website isn't Yahoo. It's not going to be at everybody's accessibility. And when you do go to the City of Fayetteville page, it's kind of funny to me that there's a big Zac Brown band banner, and then in little bitty writing right underneath is this meeting at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. People have church, don't know about it. I just find it kind of ironic.
I think the meeting was adequately publicized.
Yeah. No. You want to see?
It was in the newspapers, and there were plenty of signs around town. Anybody that got out and about.
It was, because luckily the citizens found out before it went through.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Melina Collins. I am the proud wife of a Fayetteville firefighter. Several people before me have talked about how they don't do their jobs for the money. And there is just no question about that, and I will not reiterate that any further. But I will say that these men and women, are too humble to tell you and the residents, because they care too much about the residents, to talk about themselves and to talk about an inaccuracy that was presented earlier in this meeting about how something to the effect of they're being taken care of. They're getting raises, things are wonderful, etc. And I just want to point out that inaccuracy. The retirement is a major issue. I'm not sure if anybody has considered this, or if anybody has bothered to tell you, or if you've informed yourselves about this, but there is a significant change that will be taking place when these gentlemen and this woman, if consolidation happens, what's going to happen to their retirements. I can't speak for everybody. I can only talk about the numbers that are in my family, the family that I have to look out for, and since Everyone seems to like to talk about numbers. I'm just going to throw out some for you so that you have an example of what my family is going to go through if this consolidation happens. But first, I do want to point out, my husband has been a paramedic for 11 years. And based on the charts and the tables that were presented, he's going to be going over, if consolidation happens, as a Tier 1, Year 1, what have you, paramedic. It doesn't make any sense to me. If we're doing, if we're appreciating ranks and we are doing a true consolidation, that doesn't make any sense to me. I think it's fantastic that, some of these guys are, they're in paramedic school. They're finishing, they've already finished, and they don't have to. They do it because they love the job. That has been addressed and stated several times. But there needs to be some accommodation for level of experience, and we're being told that there is, but there isn't. As far as the numbers, if consolidation happens, my husband will go from earning 68% of his top salary. Now, that's what's going to happen. But if consolidation happens, he's going to get 32%. What that means is for 10 years, for every 10 years of service, my family is going to lose $35,000. And we're pretty young. I mean, a lot of the guys in this department are young, okay? So let's say it's at least $70,000 that my family isn't going to be bringing in when we retire. $70,000. That's more than the average household income in our country. So, assuming our house doesn't need a new roof, our mortgage is paid off, life insurance is taken care of, we have all those things that we need to continue. My kids might not have college tuition. That's a big deal. These are the things that you need to consider beyond the numbers. It's not just a number. It's not just about the numbers. It's how it's going to impact the families, your residents, and the families of these firefighters. Let's say my kids are brilliant. They get a scholarship. They don't need to pay for school. Fantastic. What happens if I have to put my parents in assisted living? What happens if I have to be put in assisted living? 98% of my patients are 65 years or older. Actually, they're really more like 75 years or older. And I'm sorry, but you're foolish. Anybody, you're foolish if you're not looking towards the future at how this is going to affect our families. So, the bottom line is that I don't want you to be fooled by the way that these numbers and the way that these things have been presented to you. They're being taken care of. The numbers are this, they're great, they're fantastic. I don't want you to allow yourselves to have the wool pulled over your eyes by the proverbial wolves in sheep's clothing. I, for one, would not trade what Fayetteville has done for us. I wouldn't trade it. Don't trade us. Thank you.
Anybody else? Bobby?
Good day, everybody. I'm going to move these around a little bit because I tend to move when I talk. I'm going to thank one person first before I get going, and that's my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for letting me stand here and have to listen to whatever's been said all night long and let everybody formulate their own opinions. I thank Him for that. And Mayor and Council, I appreciate y'all listening. You're getting your butts kicked, but I appreciate you listening. I'm going to address a few things, so I'm going to ask you nicely because I am the last one to speak. Take that clock and drop it on the floor, roll over it with your chair, because I'll probably be a little longer than 3 minutes. Couple things I want to say, because I wanted to talk last because I listened to everybody's comments about the county and about the city. I'm going to clarify a few things because I got experience on both sides. Spent 4 years with Fayetteville and 23 with Fayette County. Fayette County delivers a great ambulance service. They are top-notch, bar none. If I fall over right now, Commander Folden and any paramedic in here can come take care of me. But while they're doing that, any fireman from Fayetteville can come grab their airway also. They are great at what they do. The fire department, they're cross-trained. They all that ride the fire truck, they ride the medic truck. So they're all cross-trained, just like all of our guys are. If they had a medic truck in the station that we had to ride, we'd do both. Yeah, we don't have all the medics that the county has, but you've got about 8 of them that's about to be. I'm one for over 24 years I've been one. And to tell me I'm not somebody, I'm not an ALS unit, state code says I am. State code says anything over a basic EMT on a truck is an ALS unit. We might not have all the tools, and I understand that. Chief Jones addressed that earlier. We'll be glad to get some tools so we can provide the appropriate care. And while I'm on the care system here, I'm going to talk about a little girl that got hit on Banks Road because I was the one that went. I was the one at Hood Avenue when Fayetteville wasn't dispatched. When you dispatch Squad 4 and you dispatch Medic 1, way out of the way. And I'm sitting right down here. It wouldn't have mattered if I was in my station or 92 was in theirs. They were the closest. When I got there, I don't know if y'all have ever seen a dead dog lay in the road. That's what she looked like. She looked like a person that got hit by a car. She weighed 95 pounds, probably soaking wet, dripping with blood. And she's laying there gurgling when we got there. She lived about 30 days before she passed. I hope that me turning her head, my partner in certain airway, I hope that gave her family 30 days to say goodbye. But I'm not a damn person that's going to stand there and not respond because politically it's not the right thing to do. I'm going to get off that subject now. I'm going to get to the budget part, the money part. Mr. Patterson had some things up here earlier in his presentation that showed Fayette County's side where they get their money, and he said they end up with about $27,000 after their budget this year. That's what they stayed under in the black instead of the red. And then they had us over here. We got in the red at $358,000 to the negative. Answer something to me, because everybody else to beat around the bush. My math. $358,000, take away their positive $27,000, leaves $331,000 to the negative. Where do you think they're going to get that money to make it up? They're going to raise my fire taxes. Where do you think they're going to get the money to staff that station out there off of Sandy Creek Road? They're going to have to raise taxes. This is not hard to figure out. And to be honest with you, I ain't heard anybody yet say, you raise my taxes, I'm going to get you out of office.
Right.
I've heard everybody say, raise my taxes. I've talked to you, Mayor. Y'all have a hard job. All of y'all do. Sitting behind that podium and making decisions, it's hard. But they did put you in office. Please do the right thing for them. I'm going to tell you, these other guys, I'm going to say something about the fire too, because there's somebody said that the county lets fires and houses burn down. In my 23 years there, never did I pull up with a partner that said, let's just let the house burn down. It don't happen. Tom Bartlett would be so far down your throat, cutting your toenails for you if that ever happened. Bar none, I guarantee you, I've been there. And I know the reason I use him is because I worked with him mostly in my career, nothing with David. David's been our fire marshal the whole time. So Fayette County does do what they can. I am going to state something. How ironic it was. Steve got thrown on the bus when on the news, that little 2-second clip, they can't run a fire without us. I want to get you, there's been 4 major fires in Fayette County in the last 3 to 4 weeks. One of them was tragic and the family lost their lives. On every other one, damn, I tell you, it just looks so funny to me that Fayetteville was on the scene of them. Don't paint the picture that I'm holding this podium up. No, this podium's holding me up too. We work together. We run calls together. And to be honest with you, for 15 years it's been great. Mutual aid, automatic dispatch. You know where it went wrong? God, I hope I don't get fired. But the day a politician got involved, it went spiraling downhill. I assure you, Chief Jones, Chief Partridge, Chief Scarborough, Chief Bartlett, and every command staff member on both of their squads has one thing in their goal, and that's to provide the best service for the citizens they serve. And to say I just serve Fayetteville, I'm lying. Because I serve Fayette County too, just like we've been on their fires. To say Fayette County serves just Fayette County, we're lying. They come in here with us too. There's no reason to have to go out here and put the departments together. You hear how disgruntled people are. You hear how it's made people sick. I've lived with these guys for 6 months. I've really never thought about it in the past. I've been at the county for 23 years, so when consolidation comes up, I just listen and I let it go. This time I got to live it. And I eat a lot. I've lost 6 pounds in 3 weeks worrying about this crap. And I'm going to tell you, it's not just because I talk a lot. I promise you. It worries me. And I've only been back at the county for less than 10 months, or city for less than 10 months. These other guys, they lay there and they wonder what's going to happen. We talk about it all the time. They cry about it. They pray about it. And you know, I don't know how it feels to have somebody's career and their life in my hand in y'all's situation. If you drop dead on the floor, I know how it feels because I've been there. And we'll always be there to help anybody in need. And I'm going to ask you nicely this one time. Dig deep in your heart and do what's right. You know, I'm going to tell you, myself and Mr. Mayor, we had a conversation the other day. It was quite extensive. And people want to know, it's been shoved through. I told him, y'all smell that? Something's bad. I smelled it, and something's going on, because that doesn't make sense, the way things are getting pushed. And I will say this, he was given that thing about 2 hours before the end of the day. And I'm a nosy man. And I know Chief Bartlett and them know. Good God, he won't shut up, and he's nosy. I took my behind to their retreat so I could hear it myself the next day. Made sure that me and Lieutenant Gable found us a place to sit. And they're gracious, they're wonderful, they treated us nice. Mr. Brown, Mr. Rapson, they're all nice. Provided the information we needed. Is that where I should have heard it from, though? You know, guys, we feel like we've been tossed up for adoption. And unfortunately, you know, when the state gives a child up for adoption, I venture to say you can't get it for less than $25,000 to $35,000. You're about to give away 24 men, stations, apparatus for free. I feel worse than the kid did. Thank you. My last thing. Thank you, Chief Bartlett, Chief Scarborough, for letting me serve in Fayette County for the years I have. And thank you, Alan Jones and Linda, for bringing me back. I got a lot left. I'm 47, but I ain't done kicking. And I'm going to argue about things until the day I die. I don't like consolidation. I like tradition. And that's what these guys are. 74 years it's been around. Since 1983, Fayette County founded theirs, and it's been around. I know they don't want to take anything away. And we don't want to give anything away. I hope y'all vote the right way. I hope you listen to the citizens, because you impact a whole lot of lives. God bless all of you.
Thank you, Bobby. All right, anybody else before we wrap up public comments? All right. Well, thank you all for coming and expressing your passion. It's not an easy decision. I think there are merits to consolidation, and there are certainly merits to keeping things separate. The decision we need to make is what's to the best interest of all the citizens of Fayetteville in particular, and to a lesser extent the citizens in Fayette County as well. I know that most of the people in the room are in opposition to this. Well, there's at least one that wasn't, but anyway. You know, yes, in essentially everyone in the room is in opposition. There are others who didn't bother to come that are in favor of the consolidation. We've gotten a few emails and so forth and calls that there are some in favor, but that's not to say they're the majority. Don't get me wrong on that. Now, the county has provided 911 service for a number of years. I didn't go back and check how many, but they've also provided EMS service for a number of years. They've provided fire services to the city of Tyrone for quite a few years. And I did contact Mayor Dial and ask him what was his opinion on the situation. And he said, I am not endorsing consolidation. Don't say that I am, but we have had no complaints. They are very satisfied with the services rendered by Fayette County. So, I'm sorry?
When did they have their own?
I don't know.
They never did. They never did. You know,
the issue I was getting input from him on was the county's providing service, is it satisfactory? He said it was. That's just the point I'm trying to make on that. The county calculations, numbers, they say that they can absorb our department with economies of scale and other cost savings, that they can do it without raising taxes. They may not be able to do it without raising taxes ultimately, but in the short term, I don't think they'd be raising taxes. If we keep the fire department, I think the city will be forced to raise taxes sooner rather than later. It would appear that way. I agree. I would agree.
It's not really funny when you talk about it.
As far as the ISO ratings go, Mr. Morton did speak with our ISO rating official, or whatever the right term for that is, and he said he couldn't make any definitive absolute statement, but so long as there was no loss of personnel, facilities, or equipment for the city, consolidation would have no negative effect. So we don't have to really worry about ISO ratings. I don't think that's an issue that's of concern. The issue of concern is, should we consolidate, we do lose that control of future taxation. We lose control of the fire department. That's been made abundantly clear. We all are aware of that. The question then becomes of, would the city be better served? That raises, to my mind, the issue of ALS, which has been discussed some by a number of people.
What happens if it doesn't work? We can't go back, can we? No, we can't. If it doesn't work, there's nothing we can do about it except be in the city and suffer from the lack of service. You can't do a thing about it. You're supposed to be a city employee, not worry about the county. You're supposed to take care of us.
And if it proves the city can't do ALS service, and we already paid for ALS, we paid for it.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask you one question? Why are you and the council even looking at this? Most cities are fighting to take care of their people, their staff, and their departments. And you all are looking at getting rid of it. I cannot understand that. Most cities are looking to take care of their department.
Well, there's been a number of new cities created in this state in recent years. A lot of those have come in Fulton and DeKalb counties in particular.
No comparison. Apples and oranges. Think about it.
Can I ask one question? There's been experts up here tonight that have given testimony, that have given facts, and the only thing I hear out of you is exactly what come out of the county's mouth. Every single point that you made is exactly the talking points that was handed to you by the county at that meeting. You've listened to experts here, but yet you have not once made an acknowledgement that what they said was fact, and I know that it's been checked out, and the facts are there.
I'm not done with my
They're
comments, Larry.
experts. No, but all you have with consolidation. Where in the hell are they? Are they afraid to come and show? Statements we made 2 years ago. Elections have consequences. Remember that.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let the people vote on this. It be a politician, give the vote to the people. Put it on the ballot, and let's vote for it.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a statement? May I make a statement? Ladies and gentlemen,
Hold on,
please.
please. Come to order.
I have listened attentively to what each and every one of you who had the opportunity to speak say. And first of all, I resent the accusation that most of you are making, especially Dr. Hartley, that when I shook my head, that it was the assumption that all of us are lockstep on the consolidation. That's an assumption that we should not make. This is a democratic process, or as close to the democratic process we possibly can come to. We did not put it before a vote. However, I felt this was an opportunity for all the citizens who could fit in this venue to come and voice your opinion. And I resent the assumption that you all believe every one of us are in favor. The only reason why we did not speak is because each and every one of us wanted to hear each and every one of you speak. We are not going to go tit for tat and argue about the points that have been pointed out. Each one has a merit. And let me tell you that I respect the city councilman and the mayor that I sit with. But I too found it incredulous that we found ourselves discussing this matter after we put it to a vote in 2012. I was a new city councilman. I don't need any applause. I want you to know I was a new city councilman, and I can tell you that everybody who is here in the vote know that I voted against it vehemently. Everybody know that. And so, the why it came back up for a vote again just bewilders me. The assumption is we have 2 new members on the city council. Perhaps we can run it by and pass it this time. Now, I will tell you that I think that we do a disservice, a true disservice to the men and women of the Fayetteville Fire Department by continuing to address this issue, acknowledging the fact that they have been a superb fire department. Not only that, we do a disservice to the men and women of our administrative staff and our financial staff. As already been stated by former Mayor Ken Steele, these ladies and gentlemen have been able to squeeze every nickel when the economy was in a great recession, and Fayetteville was able to survive. I'm saying that we are doing a disservice by not allowing our administrative staff to look at the numbers. And yes, the projections are discouraging, but they are only projections. And I'm a firm believer that if we tighten our belt, if we rally around behind the citizens, and the citizens rally behind us, I heard every one of you stand up and say, I'm willing to accept an increase in my taxes. That may become a reality. But we need you to understand that as people, as Mayor Ken Steele said, we have a fiduciary responsibility. We also have a moral responsibility to you, the citizens of Fayetteville. That's something I don't take lightly, and I know my fellow councilmen don't take lightly. But it is important for you to realize that as we listen to you, that me personally, I'm going to make the right decision. And personally right now, I'd like to make a motion that we defeat the proposal to consolidate. Mr. Mayor, the motion is on the floor.
Well, I'm going to rule you out of order. I did not recognize you for putting forward a motion at this time.
You recognize me to speak, Mayor.
I recognize you to speak, but I do not accept your motion at this time. I've not finished with my public comments, and none of the rest of the council had their chance to have their say.
That's what the point of discussion is after the motion is made. You ask for a point of order, for a point of discussion. Robert Rules of Order and the council procedure says that once a motion is made, then there's discussion. That's where the point of discussion should be taken, and then we take it to a vote.
But you were not recognized to offer a motion. You were recognized to address you were recognized to address the public.
Mayor, you're digging yourself in the hole, and I don't want you to do that. That was a point of order. That's correct. I know my Robert Rules of Order.
We don't have a parliamentarian here to rule for sure.
You can't do that.
I think I can, but I tell you what, I will accept your motion. So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
You don't count. Not for this purpose, at least.
I came here tonight with Consolidation.
Motion or no motion? We have to
second the motion.
You going to second the motion? All right, and then we're open for discussion on the motion. Anybody got anything else to say?
Well, yeah, I'd like to say a few words.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything other than it's over with?
Well, wait a minute. I'd just like to say a few words since everybody's spoken, and not that this would necessarily make any difference, but the questions come up several times. You know, how did this come about? Who, brought it in? Why are we talking about this? Actually, I guess Pinewood was the catalyst. For years, we've had a station on the drawing boards out west. I mean, no doubt about it. When Pinewood came into the city, when we annexed it, we've had to accelerate it. When we had to accelerate it, we had to budget for the new fire station. Well, that was just an opportunity. The county never would have approached us if it was just for no other reason than they wanted, because they're not interested in just taking anything over. If we voted no tonight, they're fine with that too, from what I've been told. So, because Fayetteville had the opportunity, we have to build a fire station, and because of fire regulations, I've been told that the county has to build a fire station several miles north of the fire station we will build. And that's 2 fire stations in the same area. Looking at it from an overall perspective, if we could eliminate one of the stations, I think that would be a benefit. So we looked at it. Now, if we didn't have to build a fire station, we would save $2.2 million, whether we save it in cash or whether we save it through a bond issue. I know recently we've been scrambling to refinance our bonds because the monthly payments were pretty steep and we had to get the payments down. So I don't see we want to add $2.2 million as a bond issue. So that's a reason. That's something that I thought was valid to look at. The other thing was we didn't actually come to the city staff, or as people say, why haven't the city councilmen, why haven't they presented this? Is because we were being presented with a proposal, I guess if you were a merger. Now, if it was on us, if we decided we wanted to get rid of the fire department, which we didn't want to get rid of it, that wasn't the objective. But had we decided that's what we wanted to do, then we would have come up with a plan, and then we would have presented it to the county, and we would explain it to the city and the county. This is what we want to do. So we were just listening. What do you propose? And they gave it to us, and they told us. And so we're almost a month. I'm sure these other gentlemen too. I mean, I've been analyzing, reanalyzing, reading the proposal. Anyway, trying to make some head or tails out of it. But again, that's the reason that that's the reason I didn't go to the city, because I wanted to, or the city employees, or the firemen, because I wanted to see what the county presented to me. What? May I finish my statement, please? Then, okay, thank you. Anyway, this is an opportunity I looked at that if we could eliminate one station in the county, that would serve Fayetteville, because we would save a couple of $1 million, and it would also be a benefit to the citizens of Fayette County as a whole, because we'd have one fire station serving 2 purposes. Naturally, one of the big concerns was the employees, and so I, along with everyone else here, said when the county wanted to make this presentation, we wanted to make sure that as close as possible the firemen were taken care of. Now, I know it can't be 100%, and I know that's just not the way it is, but many times if this was private enterprise, when an individual starts a business, he takes it to a certain level, and then in order to get it to the next level, they've got to get more funding, more capital funding. It's similar to that, and that's how I looked at it, that's how I approached it, that we would go to a bigger entity to take over and take the fire department to a new level. Not that the fire department is high quality. And so I'm of the opinion that even in a merger, we would have not only high quality before the merger, high quality after the merger. I looked at it from the standpoint that for 44 years I've lived in the same house on Red Wine Road. A good part of that time I was in the county, and I can remember over 20 years ago when it was announced that the county, in our area at least, got a fire rating of 4. Well, we all cheered because our insurance went down. Well, now that we're in the city and the city has a fire rating of 4, I can't see where a consolidation would make it any worse because I was in the county and I was still a 4. I'm just telling you this because this is what's going through my mind when I made this decision, or with all the gentlemen here, that we need to speak and listen to what the county had to say. I do think that the overall plan of saving about $4.5 million, if we can save $4.5 million, is quite substantial. Some have asked, why are we rushing to do this? What's the emergency? It's not really an emergency. Again, in talking with the county, they said, well, if you guys don't vote for it, fine with us. We'll come back and maybe look at it another time. But just remember this, down the road, as our budget progresses, right now we have money that we can exchange for your fire fund. If we exchange the fire fund, which is locked up, it can only be used for fire stations, fire equipment. We can let you receive a comparable amount that you can use for other purposes, like road improvement, the police department. It made sense. It made sense to look at it. It wasn't like we're just giving it away. Wait. As to the fire stations and the equipment, the fire stations and equipment are in the city of Fayetteville. They're being used by the Fayetteville Fire Department now. And as I looked at it, if they were continued to be used by the Fayette County Fire Department, they're still being used to provide fire protection to the city of Fayetteville. As to whose title it is not necessarily that big a deal to me, although in the discussions I've had, the county has said if you want, for example, if we stop using it as a fire station, to return the station to you, that's not unreasonable. So that, in the discussions I've had, and there hasn't been, we've tried to talk one-on-one. We haven't had meetings. We haven't had secret meetings. We're trying to just flush it out. These are some of the things that came to mind. So all that being said, there were some pros, there's some cons. I had to weigh it, and that's what brings me here tonight. And I appreciate all the comments here, but I can't really speak to them because they were challenges to what I had studied. And I even remember asking our city manager, will we have any counter offer, any counter proposal? Not that he knew of. So I'm just working on the proposal I had, not challenging anything that came tonight, but I ask myself sometimes, with some of these questions and statements about people not answering calls and people dying, well, why is it only coming to light now? How come nobody raised that question when it actually happened? I'm just throwing it out there for what that's worth. So that's my comments. That's why I'm here tonight. Thank you. Yes, Mayor?
Maybe one or two brief comments in response to you. As far as the firehouse and the apparatus, etc. You talk about a business model. The city should be run in a business-like manner, but we are not in fact business. 2 fire stations in Fayetteville, although one of them paid for by developers, the other one was paid for by the taxpayers. All our apparatus, pretty clear, they are capital assets. I work for Delta Airlines, and many of them work for Eastern and various others. We talk about capital assets. We bought merged with Pan Am. Guess what we paid? But we paid for their physical asset. We bought their airplane. We bought their spare engine. Some of them that weren't in existence, but they showed them on the board. That's why they don't consider it a big mistake. But they are assets that were paid for entirely by the taxpayers of the state. So if we have consolidation, we think the county would have to pay to join our corporation, or to get our corporation, pay for our assets, and then going forward, taxpayers would support everything. Now, as far as how that, I took an extensive drive around there last week to see just what is going on out there. And you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, Home Depot just opened up, et cetera. You have the business across the street, the offices, whatever they're using for. All of those buildings are brand new. Stage 1, 2, and 3 are state-of-the-art. I believe the fireman can correct me. They're those type 1 buildings. They're poured concrete. They don't burn. And I'm sure if they've done all the state and national fire codes, they have fire detection and suppression systems in the building. And I'm